think Barbie's Horse Adventures or something like that.
My Little Pony 13.
Yes, indeed.
What
So,
was it? I think Kai, Kai reviewed the first one, and in his review, the title was Mad Dead Redemption or something.
Yeah.
what, My Little Pony? Oh dear.
Yeah.
Right. So, quickly does it. Microsoft. Essentially, they want to get Chinese games on their system, is one of the first thing. Genshin Impact's done well, which, well, we know that quite well. And so
Yeah.
Microsoft have seen that Sony have got a few players, but I don't think Sony have got players from Genshin Impact. It's just that players on the PlayStation are playing Genshin Impact. I don't think they realise. Yeah, it's not a system draw. But it depends how much they pay for these games.
I mean, yeah, I think the bulk of the revenue from for Genshin Impact is definitely from mobile and maybe PC, but yeah, so far it is a console exclusive on PlayStation. So of course, Sony is making money off that revenue, and it's interesting because actually the developers announced the Switch version, I think, a couple of years ago now, but it is nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if it's ever happening or not. And yeah, I guess Microsoft is seeing the potential for Chinese games now that there are some decent Chinese developers. For example, there is that Black Myth Wukong game, which looks very interesting, and a few others as well. So I think Sony, they were early in that market. I think they have a program. It's called PlayStation China or something. They fund independent developers to bring games on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I guess Microsoft should do something like that.
You know what's interesting is that they're using Genshin Impact as an example, but Genshin Impact is being made by a Chinese developer, but it's a very Japanese game. So I don't know if it's a good example to use that as a way to say Chinese gaming content works well. The game feels like a Japanese game.
I think in reality, it's like there was a comment on the thread which says, "Oh, they could get real anime games from Japan."
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking, because Sony has some interesting stuff that doesn't feel Japanese. There's this character action game. It's called The Lost Soul Aside that's been in development for a long time. But it still feels a bit Japanese, but you can tell it's not really Japanese. With Genshin Impact, sometimes it's difficult to say this hasn't been made by Japanese developers. So I think it's not really a good example of a proper Chinese game.
I think the point is that Japanese content has been, of course, has been big in the Western for ages in Western countries, but maybe it wasn't always that well received in China. But on the other hand, Genshin Impact being developed by Chinese developers, maybe it did better than even if it looks Japanese, it still did better in China, even just because they wanted to. They were also kind of proud that finally a Chinese developer was getting this kind of recognition. So maybe that's a factor.
Yeah, quite possibly. Nothing else gone. What more do you want to talk on the Microsofts?
Well, there have been quite a few interesting comments made by head of gaming Phil Spencer, and for example, the first one is that a price increase is coming, although it isn't clear if he was referring to consoles or Game Pass. So one of the other is likely, not for the holidays, but after the holidays, so likely next year at some point. And I mean, if it's consoles, and they will just be following suit with Sony. And if it's Game Pass, I guess maybe they will want to wait and see if they get the Activision Blizzard content first. Because if they do, then definitely the price increase will be justified. Uh, I mean, this is also tied to actually a report that says Microsoft is not exactly the leadership. It's not exactly happy with Game Pass growth because actually they had set a year-over-year growth expectation of 73%, and it was, I think, 34 or 34 or something. So it was basically half, and well, less than half. So rumor is that even CEO Natya Sadella, Satya Nadella, and basically missed on some bonuses because of the missed target growth for Game Pass. So I guess maybe if they increased the pricing, they could offset such issues in the future.
Or lose subscribers.
Yeah.
that is a especially if they since he said there could be a price increase, but they haven't said by how much it will increase.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a price increase was definitely on the cards for quite a while, and also I think Microsoft has been doing whatever they can to get subscribers on board. I mean, there's people who manage to kind of stack a couple of years worth of subscription at very discounted prices. So there are even guides on forums or Reddit on how to do that. So I guess one thing they will do in the future is make sure that all those discounts are not available anymore. I guess, like I said, as soon as they get some really big games on Game Pass, even the releases of Starfield and such games, and of course, once Call of Duty and Diablo get to Game Pass, if they get to Game Pass, then of course they will have the leverage to do the price increase.
Yep, that's about it.
People are going to stack now more years before the price increase.
Everything's going up anyway. Everything
Yeah, well,
increases.
yeah. Like people started stacking PlayStation Now subscriptions for the premium PlayStation Plus before it released.
Yeah. Also, there's something else that he said about Game Pass. I think it's worth mentioning. Apparently, Microsoft now believes that Game Pass will unlikely be topping 10 to 15% of their overall revenue from gaming. So that seems a bit low, honestly. I mean, compared to what they were saying, they made Game Pass sound like their first priority for many years. Even the CEO, basically he said that the whole strategy was built around Game Pass. But I mean, you don't build your whole strategy around something that's only going to be 10 or 15% in a best case scenario, right? I don't know. Maybe, this is part of the realization that, for example, he also said that they have about reached everyone on Xbox who wants to subscribe. So I guess now they are looking to grow further on PC and possibly on mobile through cloud. But on consoles, I think about everyone who wanted to subscribe already did so. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah, seems like things aren't really going as they expected. Because usually when they talk about Game Pass, it's all enthusiastic language. And this time around, they sound a little subdued. Like we haven't failed, but we're not where we wanted, and we feel we're never getting, or like we're not getting anytime soon close to our
Yeah,
targets.
I
That's
guess
what it feels to me.
I guess maybe another angle is that they could be saying this to downplay
Yeah,
the
the
importance
acquisition.
of Game Pass for the acquisitions. Since, for example, the UK regulator put a lot of emphasis on the cloud service, which is currently tied to Game Pass. So that's kind of another way for
Hmm.
Microsoft to say this
Yeah,
isn't going to be that much big.
because they really it really sounds so different from every other time when they spoke about that. So you're probably right. This seems like the exact opposite of what they've been doing, or how they've been talking about Game Pass so far. It seems weird. I mean, if it's not like they should be surprised about things, because I don't know. It just feels it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
Seems like they not lost interest, but yeah, well, it's working, but not as we wanted. Please don't stop our acquisition. That's probably the message.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I guess since we are heading there towards the big acquisition topic, he also said that Call of Duty will be treated like Minecraft. So he also said that he'd like if it somehow made its way to the Switch. Although I'm not sure how it could do that
Good
unless it's
luck with that.
just via cloud, maybe. But
Multiplayer via cloud doesn't really sound like something people
yeah,
should play, because it's
that's
just
true.
not
That's true.
possible.
Very,
Especially
very
if they do
difficult.
it on the go. Maybe.
Yeah, it's whoa, no, don't.
All
And
right.
Well, maybe on a future Nintendo console. At this point, at this point, the Switch is very old, so there's got to be something coming soonish, I think.
mm. Anyway, he also, and that's the end of his speech. He also said that is confident that the deal will be approved, and but he also said that regulator concerns are fair, in his opinion, since it's such a big deal. But he also said that he went to London recently I presume, to discuss with the consumer authority, and I guess we'll see what comes out of it. I'm surprised that the FTC has been very quiet for a long time now. I think it's been more than 6 months since they began their investigation, so maybe we'll have some news before the end of the year.
Fair enough. Um, I've got not much to say about it. All I think they should do is Microsoft have got one job they need to do. They need to just talk to EA and, get the publishing rights for Black and White again. They
Uh,
do. Black and White were great games.
do
And
you? Yeah, but do you really want to have back Molino with his fake promises?
give it to Frontier, because they were wanting to develop a Black and White game at one
Mm.
point. Give
But
it to
Well,
Molino,
Frontier.
Isn't Molino doing like an NFT game?
I don't know what Molyneux's doing anymore. I don't know.
Well, Microsoft is remaking Age of Mythology, so there is that.
Yeah, no, I'll be playing that when it comes out. That's Chris's game, same as all the strategy games. But no, it's just like Microsoft. They got the black and white IP when they bought Lionhead, but then they closed Lionhead.
Yeah.
And but EA has still got the publishing, the distribution rights, publishing rights. So they need a deal.
Or they could buy EA.
Don't give them any ideas.
Well, I don't think they would be allowed to. If the Activision things goes through, I don't think
Well, yeah,
they will get through.
Yeah.
Well, you never know, but
Maybe
it sounds unlikely.
maybe if this falls through, then EA can be the reserve, the replacement.
Yeah, they're just gonna buy Devolver Digital.
Hmm.
That's not a real prediction.
What
Because
if it
all my
happens?
real predictions come true.
Square Enix still hasn't happened.
It will happen, I've told you.
It still hasn't.
There's no time limit on my predictions, you know.
Alright, it can happen in 20 years.
No,
Then
it'll happen before 20 years.
Yeah, well, it will.
Actually, we have to break it to you, Chris, but you were not right about
I'm
the game.
always right.
No, you're not. Because Sony London Studio is not making the Getaway Online. It's making a fantasy combat game. So
I don't
you're
think I
not
I
right.
don't think I predicted it was the Getaway Online. I said it could be an option.
Yeah. Well,
I will get, if we
yeah.
go back to that podcast, I don't think you'll find that I said they're definitely making the Getaway Online. I said it's an idea which wouldn't. I still think it would make good sense business wise. I think it would be a good move for them.
Yeah, well.
Beat Rockstar into making a modern GTA London before Rockstar do it. Not that I think Rockstar will ever do GTA London.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
by the by.
nice.
Yeah.
Now that I shouldn't have said that because if they do make one now, then one of my predictions has come wrong. You can't make GTA London now, Rockstar.
They could remake the original GTA London.
No, it doesn't count when it's top down. It's in a modern version, not top
Well,
down.
I don't think many people played the original.
I don't know. To be fair, GTA back then wasn't massive as big as it is now.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right. Moving on. Because we are actually. I told you these topics take a while, Alessio. The Witcher are just remaking The Witcher. The Witcher are remaking The Witcher. CD Projekt Red are remaking The Witcher, which 500. They've now announced yet another game on top of the 70 they announced 3 weeks ago.
No, actually,
This is one of them. Actually,
that is not correct, Chris. I'm afraid, because this is one of the games they had announced.
Okay, well, fair enough. So they're still on 70.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's not made by them. It's made by Full Theory.
So
which
this
is
one of the third-party ones.
Yeah, which is the developer behind 7 Days Long Gone. It's basically a top-down action RPG, and I think so far they've only did that, but they are saying it's made by a bunch of former CD Projekt Red studios developers. Sorry, so in theory they should have, they should know what to do with the Witcher. And it will be interesting to see if they go open world, because of course the first one wasn't.
Yeah,
What
there
do you
were
think?
separate. Yeah, there were separate areas, but I think the framework of open world was already there in the first one.
Yeah, I don't.
They could expand it a bit, or they
Yeah,
could
I
just
don't.
leave
I
it
don't
like
think
that.
it's going to be like remaking The Witcher 1 into The Witcher 3 sort of thing.
Yeah,
Because
I think they probably do away with the loading screens pretty much. I think, and then make
I wouldn't be surprised if
everything
it ended up
seamless.
being similar to, when, the Kingdoms of Riamala re-reckoning thing sort of thing, where they, it's a remake, but it's also just a bit extra.
I think the first The Witcher needs more than just
Yeah, no,
a
it's
little touch up. I think it needs. Well, they're remaking it from the ground
Oh
up,
yeah. I
and
think it
that's
will
what
be sort of a
that's
remake,
what the
and
game
then
needed.
yeah, it'll be a
Because
remake, and then with that
yeah,
bit extra to it.
it's also a much different engine, because I think the first Witcher was running on the Neverwinter Nights engine,
yeah.
and of course this time it's going to run on Unreal Engine 5.
And
So
I
it's
imagine what they'll also do is simplify it, because I remember playing the first Witcher where, well,
very clunky. Yeah, let's not talk about the combat, because it was an interesting
that's what I
idea,
was
but it
thinking.
just
I just think it's
it just wasn't working.
You're switching between one sword to another sword, and then you're switching between. You've got to change your boots to be able to fight the mermaid, and then if you don't put
Yeah.
on the cock ring of wisdom,
I think
then
they were a little bit too faithful to the books with all those potions, and
yeah.
it was clunky. It needed to be streamlined a bit, and they did that with the second. But I'm actually happy they're remaking this, because I think it's the closest game from in the series that's closer to the books. It's the one that
yeah,
feels the most like the books.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, still,
I mean,
I've played the original, so, the remake, it'll be worth playing, I suppose. Well, we'll see. It might be worth playing, it might not be. Long way away.
yeah, and
It'll be released sometime before 2100,
uh, yeah,
maybe.
and it's also I think interesting that the Witcher fans had kind of this news this week, which was good, of course, interesting. But then yesterday there was the disappointing news that Henry Cavill is leaving the TV series.
It's not disappointing. It means that they'll stop raping the Witcher. Well, you know how I feel about that show, and I've said that many times, and Henry Cavill was the only one that cared, to be honest. And it's clear, because he was trying to play Geralt as the Geralt from the books, but he was the only one. Come on, he was being picked on because he wanted to be accurate to the books. I'm just happy that he just said, "I've had enough."
Well, we don't know that's actually what happened, but yeah.
It's
I,
not like the Superman movies are any better
no, I did. To be
than The
fair, I
Witcher.
did.
But at
Yeah.
least if he has to play something that's bad, at least he's getting paid for it.
I don't
I
think
think that's the reason.
he will have been shortchanged on The Witcher.
Oh, but
He said he cut his cachet by half to take part in it.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
we don't
but
know if it's true or not, but
oh no,
that's
no.
what
I
he
course,
said.
imagine how much he could have actually earned. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's a big enough name now. He's he can start in what he wants to start in. So chances are to do a passion project. Yes, he will have accepted a lower pay than he would have otherwise got. But yeah, so. To be fair though, I did say yesterday, last night, this morning, whenever it was, I said I do think the real thing is that Henry Cavill will have just decided he's had enough now. He's moving on to
Well, he
something different.
probably had enough. He probably had enough because he wasn't really happy with how things were run. Because we also heard this week that there. Well, we don't know how much we can believe it, but I honestly believe it. See now, I wasn't able to get through the second season. I just stopped like at the third episode because of some bullshit they did. That people on the showrunners, writers, I don't remember who exactly, they didn't like the books or the games. Why are you doing The Witcher if you don't like them? Do
Because that's
something
yeah,
else.
TV.
I know, but I know. So
Yeah,
this
it's
is why it doesn't surprise me that he's walking away, because I don't think it would have been a very good work environment if you're so passionate about something and then you get, or everything you say is just dismissed. No, that
yeah.
probably wasn't very.
I guess yeah. I guess I think it's going to be probably due to many reasons. I think, like you said, they probably had some differences with the creatives, with the showrunners, as he wanted to be more faithful to the books. And I think he made a comment maybe a year or two ago when he said, "Yeah, I'm up for 7 seasons as long as
Mm.
they stay faithful to Sapkowski's work." And that basically that was his quote. And definitely, I think the first season, I don't think it was that bad. The second season was definitely way less faithful, and as Francesco said, there were many changes, not for the better from the books.
It's not a problem with changing things. It's changing in a way that it is no longer the story. I mean, bringing prostitutes into Kaer is stupid, and it would have never happened in the story, because there are certain things. There's a reason why the Witchers are hiding there. You don't bring prostitutes. So there's these so many
No, no,
stupid
no.
things.
Whatever happens in Kaer stays in Kaer.
What? But it's
That's why
still
it was
so
never documented.
stupid. True.
Uh,
Then again, there's one more thing, and I'll just stop. Otherwise, we're going to rant for hours. I'm going to rant for hours on end. Turning Vesemir into a sociopath. Well, that's not it. Because he basically wanted to sacrifice Ciri so he could make more Witchers. What? What?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
No. No, it just doesn't. If they wanted to say a story inside that universe, maybe it could have worked. But if you take those characters and you change them, you get what you deserve, and this is what they deserve,
Yeah.
to be honest.
yeah, but of course, like we were saying, DC films, box office, a Superman movie, it's a big payday for
Yeah.
him, and also actually it's also a lesser workload because
Mm.
the
Yeah.
TV series like
Yeah.
Netflix, I think they take many months to film these days, while a film is much shorter and it's maybe a couple of months, so you can do other stuff, on the side.
Mm.
And there was also that rumor that he started, I think, last year.
Yeah.
He hinted that he could be doing something in the Mass Effect
Hmm.
TV series. So maybe that's why.
Well, yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. There's also another rumor that they wanted him in House of the Dragon from the second season. I
I
don't
mean,
know
that wouldn't
how.
surprise me.
Yeah, but there are many. He probably has many things and many possible things on his plate. So
Well,
if he
One of
has
I
to
them,
mean,
cut,
he's doing another spy sort of thing, Argyle, which is that's in post production already. I think he's doing a film with Guy Ritchie. I know about that one. Um, that's
yeah,
another, Guy Ritchie films tend to do quite well nowadays. Um, and I imagine he's got one or two others, and then I think he's working on, isn't he doing a voice for Squadron 42? I'm sure about
Squadron
that.
40. I don't know. I don't think so.
I thought
As
he
far as I
was.
know. No, it's a bunch of famous names like Mark Hamill and
Oh yeah,
others,
yeah.
but
I'm sure I read somewhere that he was doing a voice on Squadron 42. And then the most important thing is, and this is the most important thing is, he's been rumored to be in a remake of Highlander.
yeah,
mm, mm,
yeah.
That clearly is the most important thing. There
yeah,
can be only
yeah,
one.
yeah.
What about James Bond? Could he do James Bond?
He'll
What do
not.
you think?
No, they'll not. Same as I've said many times before in his little chats. the whole thing about James Bond is, and it always has been, they've given it to a lesser known actor. Because even,
Uh,
I mean, Daniel Craig wasn't as big as,
Yeah.
when but Sean Connery, Brosnan, none
Mm.
of them were that big in films when they got to play Bond. So I don't think they'll give it to him. And the other thing is, I mean, the closest I could have thought to them giving a big named actor would have been Idris Elba.
Mm.
Um, and I think his age just stops that because it tends to be with Bond that you have to sign up for a good 15 years.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I mean, Idris Elba's fantastic, but Idris Elba when he's nearly 70 as Bond, that might be a
Yeah.
difficult film to make.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
No, I mean,
yeah.
Cavill is 40, so he could still do it
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
did it.
That's
Yeah.
I'm gonna say he would probably be one of the oldest Bonds but yeah, but again, hey, I like him. We all know I
Yeah,
like Henry Cavill, and he's clearly got the potential, he's got the abilities, but it's if they gave it, I think they'll go for I do think they'll go for a different type of casting. I wouldn't be surprised if they cast a black man this time or a woman, and that
yeah,
none of
Mm.
that bothers me in the slightest. And that's
Mm.
one of the
yeah,
reasons why I think Idris Elba would have been a perfect sort of if they went for a shorter term in between. So
Mm.
just two or three films for over 10 years as Bond,
yeah. I guess.
because he's a big enough.
Hmm.
But again, that defeats the whole, not using a massive film name already. Because the whole thing
Yeah,
about Bond is that it's Bond. It's not, this person is Bond. It's, this is just James Bond.
Yeah.
The
uh,
person eventually becomes this person is James Bond, like Daniel Craig is James Bond, but when it started, this is just James Bond
Mm.
played by yet another person. But anyway, but speaking
but,
of films and also on the topic of bullshit, um, Hideo Kojima. I mean, he's talking a bit shit again. I like Kojima, but he's like become the Japanese Peter Molyneux.
Well, I
but
have to. Well, the difference is that he tries to deliver.
Yeah, to be fair,
With that
no,
something
no,
he
no.
did, to be honest.
In all fairness, Peter Molyneux tried to deliver, and just failed.
Yeah,
And
well,
I think Kojima will massively fail to deliver here because, well, one of the things he says is just completely utter nonsense. His Xbox project could turn things around for the game and movie industries. Well, one, the game industry is not failing. It's bigger than ever. It keeps getting bigger than ever. That's the whole point about it going upwards. Movie industry, yes, but I hope you're making a game and not a film. As much as I know you want to
well,
make films.
he's going to
yeah,
make a. Well, but you already know the answer to that. He is making a movie that feels that every like half an hour you play 10 minutes. Well, he's been doing that for too long.
I
Well,
think since maybe,
Metal Gear Solid 5 is the only one that isn't like that.
yeah,
But it was incomplete because if it was complete, it probably would have been another 12 hours long movie with half an hour of gameplay.
I do. I I just think of things, and I just think I like Hideo Kojima, and he's clearly just nuts. He's just he's just a crazy person, but he can't turn things around for the games industry unless turning things around means making it go backwards, because that's not a good thing. You do realize when it's on the up, you're not meant to turn it around. That's a bad thing. Bad thing, Kojima. You
um,
don't want to make
yeah,
it decline.
and I think
Or
maybe
maybe he's
maybe
predicting to become the progenitor of the new video game market crash. He's just going to destroy the games industry.
Well, he's good at predicting things.
yeah,
We need to be careful now.
That wasn't a
yeah,
prediction, Kojima. Do not destroy the games industry.
Yeah, he has been predicting things for a long time now.
I don't think many of them
yeah.
have come true.
Well, Metal Gear Solid, all those themes of Metal Gear Solid 2, they kind of became true. Like
They were
the,
true already.
well, not on this side. Like the flooding of useless information on the internet.
Yeah.
No,
That
that
was
was just
that wasn't the
that was
case
just in the
back then.
newspapers. The internet was just going to be the next thing
Yeah,
anyway.
but in Metal Gear Solid 2,
Yeah.
they were saying that actually on the internet this is what was happening.
Yeah, that
And then
was
and then that's trending with the couriers becoming heroes.
Yeah, and just before the pandemic.
Yeah, so he's good at predicting things.
yeah. The internet thing, I'm not going to give him because anybody could have predicted that. To be fair,
Well, that's true,
films
but
have been predicting that for a good 10, 20 years before.
it was back in 2002, I think.
Yeah,
It was easy to predict, but
yeah.
most people weren't even using the internet
As I'm
back
fairly
then.
sure. Yeah, I'm fairly sure I've seen films in the 90s predicting things like that though.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give him that one. But the courier thing, did Kojima release the pandemic?
He is COVID. He is the
Um,
one.
but no, like the whole game's in. I just think it's a load of shite. Yeah, I think it's a grandiose statement that is impossible to bring to reality. Because one, if you're making a game, you're not going to turn things around the games industry because it's already going forward. Turning it around's bad. And two, if you're making a game, I don't see how you can, turn things around for the film industry unless you've got a massive budget and you're just giving a shitload of money to the films industry.
I
That's,
think he means that it is going to be some sort of interactive film
Yeah.
or something along those lines,
well, it
And
won't.
that's,
It won't. It'll still be a game then.
well, yeah, but
Also,
no, that there are some.
I
No,
can't
I mean there
imagine
are.
50,
So,
50 or 150 or 200 people cramming into a cinema for the Hideo Kojima experience. Everybody shout at the screen what option you want, and it will pick randomly.
no, yeah, that's true. That well, he always tries to be original at least, so it would be interesting to see what he comes up with.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just
Well, we don't know anything about what he's doing, so it's hard to say if he's actually if he what he really means by saying these things.
I know. I just remember before Death Stranding where he was claiming he's revolutionized gaming and creating a whole new genre, and it
Yeah,
wasn't
the
a
strand,
new.
the
Yeah,
strand genre. Yeah.
yeah, it
Well,
wasn't. It wasn't a
well, to
new
be
genre, and it didn't
no,
revolutionize gaming.
well, but because no one else followed with that asynchronous multiplayer stuff. I think it's one of the best things he did, but no one
Yeah,
else has tried to do something like that in the exact same way,
yeah,
like
yeah, in
people
the
helping
exact
each
same way because
other.
asynchronous multiplayer has been around a while.
Yeah, but I meant
Yeah,
exactly that way, helping each other
yeah.
in that way. It's
I don't know. There's always a lot of help in the Souls-like games where they say pit ahead.
yeah. No, well, no, when they say jump and then you die.
Exactly, a lot of help.
Invisible wall ahead, and then you find people trying to hit the wall for 1,000 times. And
Yeah, I've fallen for that before.
yeah, me too.
On Elden Ring, actually.
I think everyone. I think everyone has at least once. Well,
Yeah.
in Elden Ring, one of the walls actually needs to be hit like a lot of
Oh no,
times.
I'm on about in the first part, but before you even
Ah,
face the first
okay.
boss, it's like
That's
invisible wall ahead. I'm like, oh, secret, and then there was
yeah.
nothing. You
I
bastards.
think I think this wall is in Volcano Manor, if I remember right, and you have to hit it like so many times to open the way. And I don't remember what's behind the wall, but there is something like that. So
Yeah,
trolling the trolls, I'd say.
yeah, but yeah. I just it's Kojima, so where you've got that statement, you've got to take something with a pinch of salt. With Kojima, you need to take it with an ocean's full of salt. Because nothing, his grandiose comments never really come true.
Yeah. I guess he's a bit like Molinox in that way.
Told
Yeah.
you, the Japanese Molyneux.
Yeah.
The only difference is Kojima's where. I mean, to be fair to Molyneux, before 22 Cans, the games he released were good in their own right or decent enough. It's just that where Kojima talks utter bullshit, he makes great games. And he gets away with it. But when Molyneux talks utter bullshit, he makes sometimes goddess.
Well, I think it's just because of the bullshit he was saying about the first Fable. And after
Yeah.
that, people were just holding to that because he was saying some real bullshit back then.
Well, no, he did.
Yeah.
He did the same for Fable 2 and Fable 3.
But this Fable 2 feels more like a complete. It
Yeah.
feels closer to the bullshit he said.
I mean,
I never played
they,
the third, so I don't know.
they,
But the second
they
one felt
weren't
a little closer.
they weren't that bad. Come on. The
No,
Fable
no,
ones.
No,
that's
no.
same as I said. They were good
It's the
games.
promises. The promises he was making that were,
Yeah.
at least for the first one, they were completely
Oh yeah.
outrageous.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, for the first one, it was like It was essentially making an MMO, but for single player, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean. It's like this is going to be a living, breathing world. When you plant an acorn, a tree will
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
dog will grow old and die, and then you will get another puppy. I don't think he actually said that, but close enough.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Then you will have kids, and you will be able to name your kids. You will send them to school. They will fail their tests, and you will be disappointed in them. Then they will grow old and die.
But not you.
Yeah, but not you. You're
But not
immortal
you.
somehow.
Yeah.
Everybody else grows old and die, and trees grow, but you don't age. Okay. But yeah, so let's wrap it up. We've talked enough about the bullshit. So
Yeah.
more bullshit. So what you been playing, Francesco? Which porn game have you had on this time?
Oh well. It's all Square Enix this time, but I'll be quick
I
because
didn't know they made porn games.
no, but it's not a porn game. Well, it can be porn if you like certain things. Well, Star Ocean: The Divine Force has some characters with some weird proportions, so it could be
That's a
that.
JRPG.
Well,
That's part of the design document. Small
I
body,
believe
big
I believe
tits.
so. I believe so, but at least this time they don't look like
That
lifeless
comes before.
dolls.
That becomes before they. That's literally the second thing they write on the board. It's like design document, genre JRPG, line small bodies, big tits.
I'd say it's the first one, even before the name of the game.
Oh no, the name of the
Project,
game's not there. I'm just on about the
yeah.
genre. They decide the genre, then they do this. To be fair, they don't even need to
Yeah.
decide the genre because all the
Yeah,
Japanese games
it's
have got
already
that.
there. Yeah.
I think, in fact,
Yeah.
it's just it's actually it's watermarked on every design document from a Japanese company. I think it's the first
Well, that
line by law.
it's required, otherwise the project doesn't go forward. It's required. Well, anyway, I'm going to be quick now, otherwise we're going too long. Well, as I said last week, I was playing, I'm actually still playing because I'm playing the other campaign of Star Ocean: The Divine Force, and I have to say that my opinion of the game has even improved since the review. But I couldn't have given it a higher score. I gave it an 8 because technically it's a mess and it just runs like shit on PlayStation 5. I saw it runs like shit on PC as well, so it runs like shit
Well,
everywhere. Yeah, there's no escaping the frame drops in any form. But outside of that, it's a very very solid game, and I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be this good. There's no unknown characters. There's no stupid shit or like or
are you sure it's a
stupid.
JRPG? How can it be a
I was
JRPG with no
surprised.
annoying characters?
Well, you still had the kid. Well, she's 15 years old, but well, see, she's kind of a kid, but she's not annoying. Like, like the stuff from The Last Hope. I think the characters from The Last Hope were the most annoying they've ever done. They were just so bad, and this is actually a pretty big step up from. Well, it wasn't difficult to be a step up from the fifth one because there wasn't much of a game the fifth one, but even over The Last Hope, it's a big step up, and I hope they get to make another because they really nailed a lot of things this time around.
But
It's it's very very solid.
what I don't understand is why Square Enix. It seems like they have different tiers of developers. Like the A tier, they give them a real engine or even the Luminous engine, and for the B tier developers, they give them the shitty engines that
Well,
run.
I don't know about the other developers, but Tri-Ace isn't a Square Enix developer. They're
Okay.
yeah, they just we don't know if they've been approached by Square Enix or they wanted to do that and then they talk with Square Enix because it's their IP. But yeah, this was they are contractors. I mean, the last big games they did for Square Enix were the Final Fantasy 13 sequels. They did
Oh.
the second and the third one. Yeah. But after that, it was just small stuff. They did a mobile game with Star Ocean, and then Star Ocean 5, and then this one. So that's probably the reason why they had this budget. You have to make it fit, and then they went
But
with their own terrible engine.
to be fair, I mean, even very small independent developers use Unreal Engine, so I don't see why they wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know. They never talked about that. It would have made at least the game run better because I saw some Xbox One footage and I think it doesn't go past 20 FPS
Oh
in
well,
fields. So yeah, I think previous gen consoles it's not a good experience at all because
It's
even on PlayStation
cinematic.
5 it's not always good.
Cinematic 25 FPS.
Yeah, when the problem is that there are battles against a lot of enemies, and it's just tanks. I mean, on PlayStation 5, there's one of the characters has this special move that he summons orbs around him, and they shoot lasers or something like that when you use spells. But the problem is that the frame rate tanks completely when you use this move. So it basically becomes unplayable. I used it once. I never used it again because I'd like to play the game and not see a slideshow.
oh good, good.
Yeah. Well, then the other thing I'm playing, I can't talk much about it. It's the Tactics Ogre Reborn. It's the remake remaster of Tactics Ogre. Let us cling together. And I can just say I'm playing it, and that so far because just chapter one, it's pretty good. It's a step up from the PSP version that had some very stupid mechanics. Like units didn't have individual levels, but it was the class that had the levels. So every time you unlocked a new class, you were starting at level 1. The problem is that when you get far in the game, you have every other class at level 15 or 20, and then you have this class at level 1 and you're forced to grind. Then there was a complicated skill system that added pretty much nothing. And they reworked this into a more streamlined experience, and it's good. Well, the story, no spoilers, but it's the same one of the original, so it's.
That's a
I think
spoiler
it's
then. Anybody who's
it's the same
Wikipedia.
one. It's the same one as the original. They said that themselves, so it's
I
not a
know, I
spoiler.
know.
It's in the marketing, and it's the closest thing you can get to a Game of Thrones story in a tactical role-playing game.
I might have
Because
to play
it's
that then.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very good. And there's some very dark themes in the story.
Uh,
Ethnic cleansing, those type of things. It's
can you
still
say
great so many years after its release.
Go on
can you
then,
say
Alessio.
Dracaris?
Sorry?
Can you say Dracaris to
Well, no, but you can
people of
you can
late?
have you can have dragons as units. So you can do that, even if you don't say that. You can use dragons to burn your enemies. To ash.
Well, actually, I can talk about it because it's still going to be embargoed by the time this goes live. So sorry.
Fair
Oh
enough.
no.
Well, I know that's the problem with Barbies. They've got such horrible embargoes. Ah, fair enough. So me then, Football Manager, same again. Other little things as well. It's like I did I mean, in fact, I haven't played it in the past week because I've already done the review. There's a small indie game where review comes out in like 9 days. That's already done. It's a puzzle game, quite fun. Something that you can just do in the side. Would make a great little mobile game, to be fair, which is probably why it's on the Switch. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, Football Manager and Mountain Blade 2. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just the same stuff really for me. I did also the preview. I'm doing it, getting it up. It's going live tomorrow for Halloween because it makes sense. Is the Dark Pictures Devil in Me?
Uh-huh.
I mean, the embargo's gone on that, but I've had busy stuff to do and family stuff. So, it's the Dark Pictures. It's got more things inside, but just wait for the review for that. When I do that, then you be able to find out more. But new gameplay features and a decent setting. I mean, the settings have always been somewhat okay. I mean, so good to a good extent, but it's a big hotel, which means they can do a bit more with it. It's easy to link it to such as like Spencer's Mansion from Res Evil.
Mm.
But yeah,
Does it have a smaller budget than the Quarry?
I think
You think?
all the Dark Pictures anthology films have got smaller budgets than the big ones. Yeah, I
Mm.
just got, but they've added some gameplay features, little inventory sort of stuff, and at least you can sort of run to an extent. And they've added I mean, I've only played a small amount of it, so I can't say if it expands on it, but little puzzles like move this bookcase so you can use it as a stepping path bridge.
Mhm.
It's a puzzle in the same way as turn the handle to open the door is a puzzle.
Okay.
But it's still gameplay. It's still a new feature for the style of game. I've never really classed them as survival horror games. I know, yeah, they're horror and you need to survive, but they're more adventure horror games in the same vein as like your Walking Dead titles and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but it's a move towards survival horror or traditional survival horror, which is good. We'll see. I don't know
Yeah.
how long of a break they're going to take in between because this is the end of the first season when it comes out. But we'll talk more about that in probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks time.
Mhm.
But yeah, that'll do for me. Then I've got to go back to
Okay.
Football Manager.
Yeah. Go back to Bannerlord as well. Mountain Blade too.
Yeah, we'll get
Misses
there.
you.
Don't worry, I'll get that done. But me, Football Manager. I have priorities, and my priorities are whiskey and Football
Yeah.
Manager. It's my relaxing day today. It's a day of rest. So yeah, that'll do. We've talked out. So yeah, thank you everybody, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.